Miller's comments about Sydney being a rebel, is that reflective of the group's feeling at all? Or if you sort of wound them back yesterday, is that how the group feels?
No, I can assure you, Junior's comments, there was no malice in it. He had just come off the ground playing a game of footy, and from our point, the club's made contact with the Sydney Swans just to make sure there's no grey area in how the respect levels are between each football teams. But yeah, I can assure you, Junior had no malice with his comment, and that's just how he felt.
We're blown up a bit too much, Alex, do you think, as an industry?
Oh, it's an opinion-based industry, the media, and that for you guys is to make your own opinions on it. As footballers, we want to be able to come off the ground, speak freely, but also understand that some people use different words and get the message across in different ways. So for us as a playing group, we just continue to enjoy playing footy, have a relationship with the media, but also understand our strengths are on the footy field.
You've got some great personalities at the club, but is it important to preserve the personalities of the game? You talk about opinions, everyone has them, players and media alike. So is it important that when people just speak how they would normally speak, that we don't crucify them?
Yeah, and for me, I have relationships within the media, and a few players do as well. And once you have that relationship, whether that's from early days of your AFL career and there's that mutual respect, I think you can both enjoy the journey together, where the media have their opinions and enjoy the journey of AFL footballers and teams, but also from a player's point of view, leaning into the media at some capacity and understanding that to grow the game, there needs to be eyes drawn on it. And I think the balance that we can get from a media and player point of view is really important to grow the game, especially here in South Australia.
In terms of the opinions, I reckon 95% are in the club's favour, though probably didn't need to apologise, given that, clearly the comments didn't seem like he was, being disrespectful. So why, I guess, did the club feel the need to apologise?
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that. I just know that the club have dealt with it with Sydney, and they've had that conversations higher up than my leadership role here.
Do you feel like you guys can speak freely after games? How do you, I guess people kind of wouldn't begrudge you from going, cliches now, one week at a time kind of thing after games, and actually just say, no, we're not going to make any more headlines in that kind of way? Yeah,
well, I sit here now speaking freely, giving my opinions on the game, the football club, and I enjoy listening to other players speak in the media, and I really enjoy when you can see that authenticity, and I think there's some players in the competition that do it great. So the more the players can stand up here, feel comfortable with the cameras and the media, I think, like I said earlier, the game grows. And from the media's point of view, each individual uses different words, different languages, but understanding that as a player, our focus each week is to get out on the field and give it our best. And some players enjoy media, other players will shy away from it.
It obviously was a great performance. I mean, you must be thrilled with the way that went. Leading into this weekend, it's going to be a massive game.
Yeah.
What do you think you guys can do to maybe get on top of the Lions?
Yeah, for us is reviewing today. So we walk away from our game against Sydney with some great moments, some things in our game that we've been working on, especially on the road. So we'll do that for the first part of today, and then our process, as it has been all year, is to understand Brisbane, what their strengths are, how we will match up with them, and then really enjoy the week leading up. It's a big game. It's where this footy club wants to be. Friday night against one of the most informed teams over the last couple of years, and understanding we have to focus on ourselves as well. We understand the opposition are a great side, but you can't worry too much about them if you're not focusing on yourself and the 23 that'll run out.
In all of your wildest expectations, did you think that's how it was going to go down on Saturday night?
Previous times in the SCG, they've always been a heartfelt battle, and I felt like early on in the game we dealt with their pressure, and from our point of view that was something we addressed. We knew the Sydney Swans on the SCG, with the night that it was with the 2005 Premiership team, that they were going to bring the heat and the intensity, and really proud of our group, how we handled that early. We were able to wrestle the momentum off them, and then for us the growth, I think, would be that we were able to maintain that momentum. And then you come out after half-time again, it's almost like Groundhog Day. They start the third term with the intensity, high level of pressure, but for our group now to have the maturity and growth to wrestle with momentum and then maintain momentum, really proud of what we showed, and now we look forward to another great challenge Friday night.
Were you surprised at how, I guess, some of the free kicks they were giving away, some of the 50s they were giving away, and how much they kind of dropped off after you actually were able to absorb the pressure?
To be honest, it was a game that we were so in tune, I didn't even realise that there was free kicks being paid off 50 metres. So for us, I think that's a good resemblance of where our mindset is at, process driven, and the ability just to play the game, and then at the end of the quarters or end of the game you look at the scoreboard and realise that you've had a good performance as a team.
You mentioned how you've been working on some things, in particular on the road. What are some of those things that you've been working on that clearly paid off? Because in the past that's been an issue for this team, winning away.
Yeah, not shying away from momentum swings. And I'm huge on this in the AFL game. Is I'm yet to see a game, unless you guys can prove me otherwise, where there's been 4 quarters, 120 minutes of a team just dominate a game. So our ability to recognise that within a game of AFL footy, there's going to be moments where you have a 5-minute period where you're getting a lot of defensive inside 50s against you. How do you wrestle that back? What are some key moments that you can have back to ensure that we control the game again? And I think for us, we are trending in the right direction with that. Even the last month, we've had so many learnings, and I think on Saturday night against the Swans, you saw a group that lent into those momentum swings and were able to wrestle back momentum when needed. But in saying that, we've got to maintain that now, maintain that level of composure and maturity. And for us to get to where we want to get to, you've got to have to see that more consistently.
I feel like maturity has been a bit of a buzzword and something that you've always strived for. I know you've only been here this season, but do you feel like there's been growth even in the last 3 or 4 months?
Oh, certainly. There's been some players here that I've come in and are blown away with how young they are or how inexperienced they are from a games point of view. But the level head, and when I say maturity, I'll explain it a bit deeper for you. When I say maturity, I'm talking about when the intensity is at its highest on an AFL field, who do you look at and who can you see still thinking with clarity, executing their role? And I'll give you some examples. Joshy Worrell this year, he's playing every week like a mature head because he's doing those things I've just touched on, and then ability to execute his role under the highest of pressure. And he's got his good buddy Mark Kane, who's someone else who's just gone from strength to strength each week. He's been building his game up really nicely, and I think you see through each line there's some players that have just gone to another level with their maturity this year, and in a whole that's allowed our group to grow.
What about Josh Rochelle, another small forward with you there? I mean, he's a guy that you've probably taken under your wing as well, worked very closely with. But as we've seen his maturity, his those levels rise significantly this year as well.
Yeah, and I can only speak on from when I've been here, but Rash is someone, along with Ben Keys, Lockie Murphy, Luke Pedler, around this group of forwards that we have here. We balance each other out so well, and it's very similar to the big key forwards. It's not a one-man show. Although there's different skill sets and experiences, we don't look to one individual, and I think that's something in the forward line here at the Adelaide Crows. I'm really proud to say that we don't just rely on 1 or 2 individuals up in the front half, where there's a lot of talent, but the ability to recognise your role as an individual and understand what you need to bring each week. There'll be weeks where blokes kick up and have 5 goals or a few more goals than others, but I think you're seeing a really balanced performance, and Rash is certainly one of them.
Are you worried that Melbourne City might try and poach him back now after that?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. He might even approach them, I think, because he was pretty proud of his work. I still can't believe he pulled that off. It's something now I understand why we play soccer on Monday sometimes, as you see with the cameras. I always thought, why are we kicking a soccer ball around? But it's starting to come out on field.
What about Brisbane, Alex? I know the challenge they present. Could you be in better nick physically and mentally? A couple of players out, obviously, but to approach this game?
Yeah, I think we've built up to a level now where when we get to the start line of each game, there's a level of expectation internally. The ability now is to bring that each week. And for Brisbane, I guess they're a team that play in a lot of big games. I'm sure, speaking on behalf of the group, a lot of the boys would watch a bit of their footy because they're a team that everyone wants to aspire to be like. And for us now to get that opportunity, it's a great opportunity for us as a group, young players and older players, to come together and show that level of maturity.
Melbourne, you've been a team where you've been probably a promising team but become a really good team, a contender and a premiership winner. Do you feel like the Crows are on that kind of nearly becoming on that kind of path, nearly getting to that place where it is becoming a good team, contending team?
2 different journeys, mate. In a way of when I was at Melbourne, that was a great time, but here I've come into a system that's been on a journey of staying together, some highs and some lows, and now for us it's coming back to a process of each week. They've had learnings in the past, this group, where they have acknowledged that they probably look too far ahead or maybe too far behind what could have been, where right now this group is so focused on what our next challenge is, and our next challenge is Brisbane. And that's been a message that I walked into day one here at this footy club. When I stood here in front of you guys, I just had a chat with Nixie and he said we're going to focus in on each week, each challenge ahead of you, and not look too far ahead.
Can you recognise traits, so can you sort of see, even go, oh, this is how things work for us at Melbourne? I get different systems and that sort of stuff. You go, oh, well, there's a path of success here, the way we're going about it. that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, you look at the people within the footy club, and you look at Jordan Dawson, for example. He's someone who came into this footy club a few years ago from another sporting organisation, and his game has flourished. And I think you see that with a lot of people, whether they're drafted into this footy club or a Mark Keane who's come in and continues to improve. That says to me that this sporting organisation, this workplace, is somewhere where people come to get better, and it has to start with your mindset. And I think you're seeing that from a player's point of view, but also a staff and coaches, where you get people to come into this footy club and they're making this place better, and ultimately we're becoming a better team, although we are not where we want to be just yet.
Could it have a similar effect for Nazire Wanganeen-Miller, do you think?
Who's that, sorry?
Nazire. Do you think the environment could have a similar effect for him?
Oh, I've got no idea yet. That's probably a decision he'll have to make.
Just as a leadership group point of view, the couple of incidents around respect for women last week, is that something the group felt that they needed to address or check in to see whether it was part of a wider issue?
Clearly it's been a big week for the footy club, and the footy club has made a statement around it, and as a leader at this footy club and people within this, we can continue to educate and grow in this area and make sure that us as individuals understand the respect for people within football, outside of football, and for us as leaders, we just got to maintain that level of education and a growth mindset with it.